You do not have to say anything. But it may harm your defense if you do not mention, when questioned, something which you later rely on in court. Read them again. The first sentence gives you a right. The second sentence prices it. This is not fiction. These are the exact words police in England and Wales must say before they question you. Both sentences are the law. At the same time. A man stands trial for murdering a judge. The police interviewed him twice, and every question got the same 2 words: no comment. His lawyer, the one person in the building whose only job is to save him, asks what happened that night. He will not tell her. He asked for her by name. She has never led a murder trial. He wants no one else. And from the dock, the enclosure where the accused sits, he watches 12 people who are allowed to wonder why a man with nothing to hide says nothing at all. The man is fiction, invented just months ago by a woman who spent years running real murder trials. His name is Jack Millman. Hers is Jo Murray, a former criminal barrister and the author of Dissection of a Murder, a novel set in the world she practiced in. She has said the entire book began with a single question: is it possible to manipulate a jury? She wrote an entire novel about it. Whether the law and the science agree with her is where this goes. It takes 3 words for the premise to make sense. In England, the lawyer who prepares your case is a solicitor, while the one who stands up in court and argues it is a barrister. The senior barristers in their silk gowns are called silks, and they take the biggest cases. Layla Reynolds is a junior barrister, not a silk, and she has never led a murder trial. The defendant insists on her anyway. He won't say why. He won't say anything at all. And the silk prosecuting, the man whose job is to bury her client, is her husband. Murray set all of this in Newcastle Crown Court on the quayside, a real court in the very world she worked in. So picture it, a silent client, a hostile jury waiting, and the law's permission to hold that silence against him. What is the play here? To see it, you need to know what silence actually costs in an English courtroom. And for that, you need to go back to 1994. For most of English legal history, a defendant's silence was close to untouchable territory. The prosecution carried the whole case, and you could sit in the dock saying nothing while the jury was told to think nothing of it. Then, in 1994, Parliament changed the price. With the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act, and 4 sections that rewrote what silence costs. Stay silent in the police station, then produce an alibi at trial, and the jury may ask why you didn't mention it earlier. Refuse to explain the object in your bag, or why you were standing where you were standing, and that refusal can now strengthen the case against you. Refuse to give evidence at trial at all, and the jury may draw what the Act calls such inferences as appear proper. Silence stopped being free in April 1995. So what's left of the right? Picture the moment it matters. A man has stayed silent all the way to the end of his trial, and before the jury leaves to decide, English law puts one obstacle between his silence and their suspicion. The judge has to stand between them and say the words, that his silence is his right, that silence, on its own, can never convict him, that the prosecution still has to prove its case, all of it, and nothing about his saying nothing changes that. Only then may the jury hold his silence against him. And the appeal courts keep pressing a quieter point. There are innocent reasons to say nothing. Fear, a case so weak it deserves no answer, or a past that would poison the room the moment it was spoken. So this is the strange middle state English law built. Silent, protected, and suspected, all 3 at once. Which leaves the real question. If silence carries a price tag the judge reads out loud, what would it take to stay silent and still win? The answer has nothing to do with law. It's about what a verdict actually is. In the 1980s, two psychologists, Nancy Pennington and Reed Hasty, set out to discover how jurors actually decide. The law's answer already existed. Jurors weigh each piece of evidence, item by item, like scales, and the verdict is whatever the scales say. Pennington and Hasty suspected something else. They believed jurors take the evidence, add their own experience of the world, fill in the gaps, and build a story of what happened. The verdict, in their theory, simply goes to whichever story holds together best. That leaves two theories, scales or stories. And notice that they're allowed to look identical from the outside. Good evidence usually makes the best story. So, on most days, both theories predict the same verdict. To find out which one is actually running the room, you'd need a case where the evidence and the story pull apart. Hold that thought. Because here's what should unsettle you either way. The people who argue trials for a living stopped waiting for the science. Murray's barrister heroine puts their working belief in 10 words, standing 5 feet from the jury box. Jury speeches don't hinge on facts. They rely on connection. A former barrister wrote that line for her. Maybe that's hard-won knowledge from 1,000 real verdicts. Or maybe it's the advocates flattering themselves. Every profession likes to believe its skill moves the outcome. Belief isn't proof. And the 12 people it's actually about, the real ones in the real rooms, turn out to be astonishingly hard to check. Here is where most explanations stop. Because nearly everyone, including senior lawyers, believes researching real English juries is against the law. That is a myth. One researcher, Professor Cheryl Thomas, has spent nearly 2 decades studying actual juries in actual Crown courts. The law permits it. What it seals is the deliberation itself. The conversation in the locked room stays secret, even from her. So she studied everything up to the door. 668 real jurors in her survey alone. Juries overall came out well. Verdicts looked fair, and there was no pattern of racial bias against defendants. But 2 of her findings should stop you cold. Only about 1/3 of jurors fully understood the judge's legal directions. The directions. That shield from earlier, the one the judge raises for a silent man, 2/3 of the room at best partially following it. And in high-profile cases, over 1/3 of jurors remembered the media coverage, while a 5th admitted they struggled to put it out of their minds. A contest the professionals treat as won by stories, judged by people who admit the instructions blur behind a door no one is allowed to open. Scales, or stories. Someone had to settle it. In 1988, Pennington and Hasty built exactly the case they needed: mock jurors and a real murder trial that was adapted. Every juror got the same evidence, and every fact was identical. There was only one difference: the order. When the prosecution's evidence arrived shaped like a story, beginning, middle, end, and the defense's evidence arrived scrambled, witness by witness, 78% voted guilty. Flip it, but the evidence stays the same. The defense gets the story order, and the prosecution gets the scramble. 31%. A 47-point difference, not from new evidence, not from better evidence, but from the order in which the same evidence arrived. And in their follow-up tests, jurors' memory for the evidence came out equal. They had the same remembered facts, but still, the verdicts were different. The scales lost. The evidence wasn't deciding, the story was. So, can you manipulate a jury? You don't need to lie to them. You don't even need theatrics. What you do need is to be on the side whose facts arrive shaped like a story. That is the manual. It fits in one sentence. and 40 years of research now stands behind it, which is what finally makes silence make sense as a strategy. A silent defendant gives the jury no story of his own. That's the price, and the judge will read it out loud. But it's also the bet. If the defense tells no story, the prosecution's story stands alone in the room, with nothing to compare it against except doubt, and every gap in it standing exposed. Silence is a wager that the other side's story collapses under its own weight. The law prices that wager. The science explains why anyone would still place it. That is what the man in the dock is doing. That was always what he was doing. And this is the game Dissection of a Murder plays on its surface. A silent client, a junior barrister forced to outstory a silk, a jury deciding which version of one night deserves to be called the truth. Written by someone who played the game for real and who leaves a confession in the acknowledgments. Forgive me, and Layla, for tweaking legal procedure slightly, Murray writes. You got the good, dramatic bits. So yes, by her own admission, she bent the small rules of courtroom procedure to keep the drama moving. But the machinery underneath the drama, how verdicts are really decided, she got exactly right. Which brings me to the part I can't tell you. Why him? Why her? Why he asked for her by name and won't speak even to the one person paid to save him? And what a murder trial does to a marriage, standing on both sides of it. That is the book's job to answer, not mine. And Murray's answer to her own question, the one the whole novel was built to explore, goes further than anything in this video. Considerably further. There's a clock on this. David E. Kelley is adapting the book as the second season of Presumed Innocent on Apple TV. And when that season airs, the internet will spoil it inside a week. Read it first. Because a trial was never a machine for weighing facts. It's a contest of stories, run under rules. And the rules exist precisely because everyone in the room, on both sides of the wig, knows how winnable that contest is. 12 strangers, one locked room, 2 stories. The verdict goes to the better one.